You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Behind the quiet sacrifice of the martyr true believer, based on an article by Tom Hartman. Trump's disclosure is not transparency. It is a ledger of theft. The office of the grift. The source document is simple enough on its face. Trump's annual financial disclosure reports $1.4 billion in 2025 earnings, with the biggest slice coming from his family's crypto ventures, including the Trump meme coin. That is the context. Everything else is the political meaning. This is not our story about an eccentric businessman with unusual side hustles. It is a story about a president turning public office into a revenue stream and then filing the paperwork light that somehow disinfects the arrangement. The disclosure does not reveal transparency. It reveals scale. The marks wore red hats. The central fact of power is not just that Trump made money. It is who paid him. More than 1 million ordinary supporters who bought into the same ventures and, according to the source, lost roughly $2.3 billion, while the Trump family took in roughly the same amount. That is the structure. The billionaire did not extract value from an abstract market. He extracted it from his own political base, from people who mistook loyalty for due diligence and his branding for legitimacy. The con works because it fuses identity with finance. A cult can be monetized. Trump has spent years proving it. The state wasn't broken. It was bent. The most important institutional detail in the source is not the coin. It is the protection around the coin. Weeks after Chinese-born crypto billionaire Justin Sun poured money into World Liberty Financial, the SEC paused its fraud case against him. Trump also pardoned Binance founder Changpeng Zhao after Binance helped enrich the Trump family's stablecoin. The sequence matters more than any slogan about regulation ever could. Money went in, enforcement softened, pardons came out. That is not confusion. It is governance by transaction. The state did not fail to start the scam. The state was made available to stabilize it. That is the difference between corruption as scandal and corruption as system. Republican silence is participation. The source is right to dwell on the silence. Elected Republicans have not treated this as a democratic emergency. Right-wing media, which can manufacture hysteria out of a laptop photo or an 8-page disclosure, has found a way to stare at our 927-page confession and say almost nothing. That silence is not passive. It is political labor. It signals that the party apparatus has accepted a new rule. The president can monetize the office, reward donors, and loot followers, and the job of his allies is not to object but to absorb the damage. The misdirection here is obvious. They would rather make a morality play out of Hunter Biden than confront a president openly cashing in on his own believers. Branding the Republic. Trump's face on coins, banners, passports, and vanity gold pieces is not random narcissism. It is political messaging. It says ownership. It says the nation is now a brand extension of one man's personal franchise. That is why the Roman comparison lands, even if the historical flourish is doing a lot of work. The point is not that America has become ancient Rome. The point is that oligarchic rule always wants the same visual language, the leader as currency, the leader as authority, the leader as the thing itself. Once that happens, institutions are no longer checking power. They are advertising it. The pattern is the point. The larger pattern is not just Trump's greed. It is the American elite system that keeps making greed administratively acceptable when it serves the right faction. Trump is more shameless than most. that he is not operating outside the political order. He is exposing what that order tolerates when the beneficiaries control the enforcement machinery. The lesson is plain. When a president can fleece supporters, protect the pipeline with state power, and rely on partisan silence to lord the result, the crisis is not a single corrupt figure. The crisis is an institutional class that has decided some forms of theft are just politics with better branding. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article. With the Aramaic voice of Razak, thanks for listening.